Good morning, everyone. It's Erica here from Me2You Paper Crafts, coming to you live this Friday morning. I have a trip down memory lane card to do my fun folds. I thought it would be fun if I went through my incredible stash of cards. I've been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for, it'll be 14 years this year, and I have quite the card collection. And I do sell my cards, and I, of course, send a lot of cards out for birthdays, etc. And so every now and then when I go in those boxes to pick out a card to send to someone, I come across FunFold cards. So I thought it would be fun if I just went through, and when I find one, do it for the week. So it's kind of like a retro card using retired products, but you may still have these products. You may recognize the designer series paper or the stamp sets, and then you can kind of pull them out from your stash and then make a card using that design. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to turn my camera down and show you what we're making. All right, here's my desktop. And here is my card, retro card. So this was a card using a gorgeous stamp set. I think it was a promotional stamp set. It didn't, if I can remember correctly, it did not appear in a catalog. And it's only recently retired. I don't think it's online anymore, but the papers were gorgeous. And it had these absolutely stunning floral images that looked transparent. It's a distinctive stamp set. So, but when you stamped it, they looked kind of like, yeah, transparent. It's a gorgeous set. It's too bad they didn't keep this going forever because it's absolutely gorgeous. But this card basically uses a piece of DSP. It's 12 inches long. Now our card base is just a single sheet of cardstock. You could also make this a full card, so you could have this kind of effect going on, and then once they closed it, you could open up the card. But it basically uses just a quarter sheet of cardstock. So this measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then because this is 5 1/2, this DSP is 5 1/4 inches by 12. Okay, so 5 1/4 inches by 12. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to score it at 4 inches and at 8 inches to create this fold. Okay, now there's lots of things, other things that you can do with this. Of course, I've got this decorated on the front. I'm going to do something very similar today, but I'm going to be using this Thankful Garden stamp set. That's one of our online exclusives. It comes with a set of dies, and it also comes with a set of decorative masks. Now, I did do something recently on this stamp set, but I didn't use the decorative masks. So I thought today I would play with these decorative masks. I quickly grabbed a video just to see how they work. Pretty simple. I should be good. But when you use the decorative mask, you'll need some tape to tape them to your work surface. You're going to need a blending brush, 1 or 2 color blending brushes. And then you're going to do some blending. Now you can use one color or you can use a couple of different colors. And I'll talk more about that when we get going. So this set comes with the stamp set, with a set of dies, and with these decorative masks. And let's see, I'll just show you the dies here. So you've got a die that cuts out the 2 flowers. So you have this one flower here, and I'm really not quite sure what kind of a flower this is. I was just talking last night on my Case the Caddy video that it would be so nice to if Stampin' Up! Actually just put a little label on here to say what flower it is. This I know is a hydrangea because I grow hydrangeas. It's one of my favorite flowers in my garden because they last all summer into the fall. And they're so fun because in the fall they start to dry out, and then you can cut them and put them in a vase with no water and just let it dry out further. And they just make beautiful dried flowers as well. So you've got the one die to cut out the one flower, and then you've got the other die to cut out Here it is, to cut out the hydrangea. And then they give you some other pieces to die cut, extra pieces to build up the hydrangea. You've got some leaves here, and you've got some embossed pieces here. I love these embossed dies. So they don't cut out an image, they just cut out this leaf and this leaf with a bit of embossing on it. So those are a lot of fun. Okay. All right. Now, while I was thinking about this, I want to kind of show you this. This came out in our spring catalog, and it's carried forward. So what it is, I bought 2 packages. So what it is, it's called Greetings for All. It's one of our mix and match ephemera packs. Now, these are not to overlook, because when you are struggling to find a greeting, you can just use these little stickers and put them on your card. So this has got some Merry Christmas in here, get well, sending sunshine, oh, happy day, best wishes, happy Easter. Yeah, so it's got just a note. It's got lots of little greetings in here. And so I bought these ephemera packs just to show you, and I might use one today. Okay, so it's just a quick way to add a greeting to your card. And yeah, so let's get started. I'm also using, just to show you, the circle dies. These are the scalloped circle dies, and I am using 2 of these. I've already cut my circles. I've got one in gorgeous grape and one in white. And so this is where I'm going to put the greeting, and then we're going to die cut the hydrangea and put it on top. And the paper I'm using, I was talking about this again, I think it was last Monday. We've got 2 returning paper packs. One is the beautiful perennial, I think it's called Perennials, this pack here. Perennial Lavender was part of a big suite of products called the Perennial Lavender Suite. And these butterflies are still available, and this paper is available. So they've carried these forward. And the paper was called, yeah, Perennial Lavender. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful paper. And what was I going to say? Yeah, unfortunately, the stamp set, I don't think was carried forward. Or maybe it's online exclusive. I'm not sure. I have to admit, it's very difficult to keep up with what's current and what's retired. All right, so let's get started with this. So what I've started with, my card base, this is shaded spruce. So I thought I would use that for my card base. Although as I look at this paper, this looks more like Pretty Peacock, but I think this is one of the colors in the paper. Let me just double check. I think I saw shaded spruce in here. That's the wrong paper. I think shaded spruce is in here. Let's see. Yeah, Pretty Peacock. Yeah, shaded spruce is in here. Perfect. All right, so we're going to use the shaded spruce on here. All right, so as I said, this is 5 1/4 by 12. So the first thing I'm going to do is give it a score at 4 inches and 8 inches. Now, I want my paper, I want this to be the outside of my paper. So I'm going to score it face up. So whatever you want on the outside of the card. So for example, you want the pattern on the front. You lay the front on your scoreboard, and you're going to do some score marks. So 1 at 4. Make sure you kick the blade out of the way. So 1 at 4 inches. I'm going to score at 4. And I'm going to pull out my extender, and 1 at 8. So 4 and 8. Okay, and then we're going to fold those over. So just to explain, you know, some of you may have heard about folding on the mountain versus the valley. So the mountain is when you press the score blade into the paper, it creates a mountain on the other side, and it creates a valley on the side that you're scoring on. And so with having your paper face up, this becomes the mountain, and that's where you're going to fold. Or actually this side becomes the mountain. Sorry, I'm confusing you probably. Let's not talk about mountains and valleys for now. Now, if your paper turns out to not fold exactly, sometimes that happens, even though you scored it on the right dimension, the right measurement. What I would do is I'm going to trim off a tiny bit from here so that this folds over. Sometimes measurements are not exact, so I'm going to just take a smidge. I'm going to line my paper up to the right side of this gray line here, and that takes off about 1/8 of an inch. So it's just a skinny little, you can't even see it when I hold it. Oh, I don't even have it in my hand. Okay, there it is, the skinny little piece. All right, so now when I fold it over, yeah, it folds perfectly. So you might have to just shim it a little bit. All right, so let's just give it a crease and a crease. All right, so this is going to glue directly onto the card base like this. Now, the piece for the inside, this measures, I put a measurement in here. This measures 3 3/4 by 5 is the piece on the inside. So let me grab a piece of white. So 3 3/4 by 5. 3 3/4 by 5. All right, so that's our inside piece. So those are the only measurements that you need for this fun fold card. So this is going to sit in the middle. And before you glue this in, you may want to stamp on it, or you could add a piece of designer series paper along the bottom. You could even make this a little bit smaller if you want to show more of the designer series paper in the background. You can make this smaller. So again, I'm just going to pull out my layering little booklet here. I was talking about this on Thursday night. I created this little layering booklet. So you start with a piece that is your regular card base, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then you cut them all 1/4 of an inch smaller. So then when you're designing, you can easily pull out. So for example, I could pull, say, this one out. And this is a 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Or if I wanted it a little bit smaller, I could pull in the next small one. This is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So you can kind of put them on your layout and decide, gee, I like that size, or no, maybe I want to go just a little bit smaller. And then you can pull out a smaller one and see what you want. Okay. So that's my little layering templates. All right, but we're going to go with the 3 3/4 by 5 for today. All right, so I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to now play with these masks. All right, so I like to use a piece of scrap. You can do it directly on your glass mat and then clean it up afterwards because you're going to get ink everywhere. Now, I'm pulling in a mini Misty because I'm going to stamp. As you can see, it's quite a large stamp here. And I want to ink it up so that if it doesn't transfer the ink very well, I can redo it. So you want some kind of a stamp positioning tool. And I'm going to pull out my Memento black ink here. And I'm going to ink it up. So positioning tool allows you to ink and re-ink and re-ink and re-ink, just in case you don't get a really good image the first time. All right, so I'm going to ink that up, and I feel like I'm sitting on something here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to, now I also have, I purchased this little rubbing tool. It's from We Are Memory Keepers. It's really quite handy. It's got foam on the bottom, and it just helps you to press down your image. All right, so now let's, yeah, see, actually that stamped pretty well the first time. I am very happy with that. But say it was faded in the middle. That's why this tool really helps. It helps to give you even pressure when you're pushing down the stamp. But if this was a bit faded in the middle, you would re-ink up the stamp and then you would, you know, press it again. But I'm pretty happy with that. So let's go with that. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. All right, so I'm going to put this on here. And we're going to use our decorative masks. Now, you can use one color for all three. There's, I think, 3 masks. It's a layering, so it's going to give you different coloring. I brought out my blends. I thought, well, I could also color it, but it takes a long time to color that flower. So I brought out my Highland Heather and actually Blackberry Bliss for coloring, but I'm going to do the mask today. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to grab some repositional tape. I'm going to tape this down onto my surface here because I don't want it to move. And when you look at the mask, now I have to admit the numbers are very difficult to see, but in the you'll notice that the top, where's my camera? If you can see it. You see the top of the mask has a little divot in it. You see the little divot over here? See the little divot? So you're lining up the masks with the divots, okay? So this has a number 1 on it. The next one is a number 2. And the next one is a number 3. So when you're doing the flower, you have 3 layering masks. So you do number 1 first, number 2, and then number 3. And then they've also got 2 masks, number 4 and 5, for the leaves down here, you see? All right, so let's give this a go. Actually, let's put this a little bit higher on my surface here so that you can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is mask number 1, and you basically just position it where you think it should go. And it's really not that easy to position, I have to admit. It's too bad they didn't include the leaf at the bottom. Okay, this is a struggle, I have to admit. This is my very first time using these. Just bear with me. I can't seem to see where it lines up. Somebody has joined me this morning, but your name isn't showing up. It says under a pile of papers. I don't quite know what that means, but welcome anyway. It makes sense that it would go upright like this. Wow. I don't quite know what's going on here. I guess I should have tested this beforehand. Let's see if I can line up this second one. No, I'm a little stumped, ladies. I am really stumped. I can't seem to find. There should be some definitive place where this lines up. And I cannot find it. I'm really embarrassed now. Really embarrassed because I don't know how to line this up. I need to go back to another video and see. I don't think you have to turn it over. I am totally stumped. So without further ado, I think I'm going to not do the masks, which is really too bad. I will figure out how to do them. So instead, I'm going to go back to coloring, which is going to take a while, sadly, but we'll get it done. This is time maybe to talk about the new annual catalog. It came out last Wednesday. And if you have an opinion about it, I'd love to know what some of your favorite products might be in there. And let me know what you think. When I find out how those masks work, I'm going to be really embarrassed if it was really easy to line them up, but I could not figure it out. It's like when you have a stamp with a coordinating die, and the stamp, you know, has lots of varying edges to it, and you can't really figure out how to line up the die. That's what this feels like. And this image isn't really conducive to coloring like I'm coloring it because it's got a lot of background in there. So I think what I'll do is I'll color these petals, and then I will take my blending brush and kind of do a swirl over the middle. If some of you watching perhaps saw me on Catch the Replay and you've done the masks, I would love some tips and tricks from you as to how they work. Now, we've had decorative masks before, and I haven't run into this problem before. They seem to line up really well, but this one's a little tricky. But I'll figure it out. And maybe I'll come back with another video just on using the masks. I won't do too much coloring in here. I'll just get most of it done. Okay, I'll just do these last two flowers, and then I will take my blends. Okay. Now I'm going to take my blends, or not my blends. I'm going to take my, so I've got Highland Heather ink pad here. I'm going to ink it up, and always start by rubbing it a little bit on your paper. And then just start swirling it around. When you use your blending brushes, you will notice that it does dry out your ink pads. So you will want to make sure you have a re-inker. If you're going to do blending, you need re-inkers. So you see how that blending is just filled in the background a little bit. So I'm going to grab the darker Highland Heather here, dark Highland Heather, and I'll just do a little bit of coloring in the centers here. I'm just doing kind of like a little scribbling job just to give it some color. Okay, maybe I'll just do a bit of dark little bits here and there. Wherever there's little black marks, you can just do a bit of shading in there. Okay, and then I'm going to do another swirl, I think. Okay, so I think that looks pretty good for our flower. All right, let's do the leaves now. Now, let's see if we can use the decorative masks for the leaves. I think they're a lot easier. Okay, let's see. This is number 4, and then there's a number 5. So this should be, yes, see, look, that's so much easier. Let's just put that on there. Okay, I'm going to grab another little piece of tape. At least I can show you some use of the mask. All right, and then I'm going to use this shaded spruce. And I need all right. So we'll just, so using the mask is definitely a lot faster for your coloring. Okay, so there's the first layer. So I'm just going to take this off. And then we'll put the next one. The second one gives you the detail. Okay, so I'm going to line that one up. And then these you can just rinse under cold water. There we go. So look what the mask does. It adds this fantastic shading. It's so cool. All right, so at least I got to show you some part of how the masking works. I'm happy about that. But this would look amazing. All right, so we're finished with that. So let's get out our die, and we're going to cut this out. And let's bring back our card base. And let's grab here's the die. So I'm basically lining up the leaves, and the rest should fall in place. And there we go. I'm going to reuse my tape just to hold that in place, and I'm going to go die cut that out. Oh, look how pretty that is. That is beautiful. Okay, so let's start putting our card together. So we can safely glue this. Let's bring in my silicone mat. I like to use my silicone mat when I'm gluing. so I don't get glue all over my table here. So this is going to be the front. Try to get that nicely lined up. Okay, there you go. And now I'm going to put on our circles. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to do a circle. And then this is going to go on top like this. Now, there is a greeting in the stamp set with love, and then there's and thanks, which is really cool. So you can use the with love by itself or add and thanks. You make a difference, and then thankful for you, friend. And it's in a different, the bottom is in a different font, which is really cool. But I thought I would use this with love. But it's not going, oh, it might just fit right there. Okay, now, is there anything smaller? Because I was talking about these. Oh, just a note is cute, or best wishes. So let's open this up and see. Now, I'm thinking we have multiple sheets in here. And are they all the same? Oh, you've got some black ones on the back with some different greetings. Look at that. That's really cool. Happy Halloween to the grads. So you can use these all year round. Thank you. You did it. Oh, happy day again. Sending hugs. Hey. Well, that's really cool. Sweet baby. So you've got 2 sheets. No, you've got 3 sheets. No, you've got, sorry. You've got 2 sheets of one set of greetings, 2 sheets of another set of greetings. Look, sorry for your loss, sweet baby. Happy Mother's Day. And then you've got 2 sheets of the black, only 2 sheets of the black. Yes? Yes, I think there's just 2 sheets of the black. So we kind of use white more often, I think. So now these are not self-adhesive, or are they? No, they're not. So you just take these out and then you have to glue them on. So I could do this just a note, fits perfectly there. And I'm going to put these on mini dimensionals. I've got just a few little dimensionals left in here. So let me just grab let me grab my pokey tool. And I will grab a little dimensional for that. Okay, so that's ready to go. All right, so we need to glue some of these things together here. All right, so I'm just going to use my tape runner for this. Now there is a right and a wrong side to die cuts. So we're going to put this on here. It's a tight fit. but it works. And then we're going to put this one on top. Now I'm going to put my little just a note on here so that I know where to position my flower. Stick that right like that, just a note. Now I'm going to add some dimensionals to the top of my flowers just to pull them up from the paper, just to give it some dimension. I always like to do that. And then I'm going to glue the bottom part of it. So let's take these little things off. I'm going to put a bit of glue at the bottom here. I'm going to use my Tombow. There we go. Now you could add a few gems on here. We have these beautiful, they're called Purple Fine Shimmer Gems. So these are perfect for, I think they were bundled in the whole Perennial Lavender Suite. So let's add a few of these on here. Okay, so there's the front of our card. Now you could continue kind of your greetings or your decor on the inside before you get to the white panel. So just a note, thinking of you, and then they open the card to the other panel. So you could do some decorations on here as well if you wanted to. It's kind of a versatile layout. Now this white panel, I thought I would, is this the panel? Yes, this is the panel. So in the stamp set, there's this really cute little leaf here. So I thought I would take this little leaf and let's put this on a block. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this in the green. Now, we don't have any shaded spruce. We don't have shaded spruce blends. So I'm going to show you a trick with Wink of Stella here. With your dark inks, you can stamp. Oh, and let me get a piece of paper here too, underneath it. With your dark inks, you can stamp and then immediately, before it totally dries, take your Wink of Stella pen and you can color. Let me pull my camera down so you can see what I'm doing here. You can start to color, and when you go over the ink, it pulls the color. Now you could do this with a water brush as well. Just be careful how much water you use because this is not our watercolor cardstock. But you can just add a little element like that. So our dark inks like Cherry Cobbler is an example, Pretty Peacock, Night of Navy, any of our dark inks, you can use this technique. Okay, let's pull my camera back up. All right, so now we're ready to glue this to the inside of our card. And there you have it. There is your Fun Fold card. Oh, I think we need to add a bit of Wink of Stella on the front, just to make those centers pop a bit. There you go. Wink of Stella just helps to finish off your card. It's just beautiful. So there you go, a simple, easy Fun Fold using your Designer Series paper. So thank you for joining me today. I apologize on my inability to figure out the masking for this hydrangea, but I will figure it out and show it again. But there you go. There is your cute little Fun Fold card. So thanks again for joining me. I hope to see you again. I'll be live Monday morning for Mojo Monday. We'll hope to see you then. Bye for now. Have a super, super weekend.